Single women have a dreadful propensity for being poor, which is one very strong argument in favour of matrimony. So wrote Jane Austen, whose portrayals of Regency life have come to define the era. Austen was not wrong. Life for women in the Regency era extended far beyond the balls, dresses, and dashing gentlemen depicted in her novels, and was a stark contrast to the glamorous world of Bridgerton. The Netflix series captivates viewers with its Regency fantasia, where two women navigate the intricacies of court and society with remarkable skill. This makes for compelling viewing, but what was the reality for women during this time? The allure of intrigue, romance, and glamour conceals the harsh truths and pressures that define their lives. So let's explore whether the Regency era was a good time to be a woman. Before we start, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe buttons. What was the ton in the Regency era? Regency society reached its zenith in the exclusive realm known as the ton. This term encapsulated the elite circles of the upper class, who navigated a labyrinthine and unwritten code of conduct. Within this echelon, women were assigned distinct roles: to marry, bear children, and secure their place as esteemed society wives, free from scandal or gossip. Although there were women who defied these expectations, they were rare and often considered peculiar by the ton. For the majority, from birth, girls were set on a predetermined path, expected to adhere to it throughout their lives. While boys were educated to become gentlemen who might inherit family estates or pursue respectable professions, girls were trained in skills deemed suitable for their gender. In the humanities and sciences, they acquired just enough knowledge to be engaging and lively hostesses or conversationalists, without ever challenging their husbands' judgments or opinions. Their education also had a practical side, preparing them for their future roles as wives. Lessons in household management ensured they could handle domestic accounts as adeptly as they could dazzle at society dinners. Greater emphasis was placed on artistic pursuits, such as music and art, to showcase a woman's accomplishments. Equally crucial were dance lessons, as the dance floor at a ball provided an opportunity to be noticed and potentially attract a good marriage prospect. It was also one of the few settings where she could exchange a few private words with a man. Joining the high society. The skills and mannerisms meticulously cultivated over the years were put to the ultimate test when a young woman debuted in society at the prestigious Queen Charlotte's Ball. Here, debutantes were presented to the Queen before an audience of eligible bachelors and their families. This event marked the beginning of her first season, a whirlwind of balls, parties, and glamorous events, offering her prime opportunities to secure a marriage. However, all the dancing lessons and beauty were of little consequence without a substantial dowry and strong family connections. The prospect of a generous dowry and the chance to join the Regency upper crust could make a young lady exceedingly desirable. Although not all marriages were based solely on financial considerations, love was seldom the primary ingredient for a match. The beginning of such unions was often far from a fairy tale. Even Queen Charlotte herself was a mere teenage orphan when brought to England to marry a man she had never met. For those who failed to find a husband during their debut year, each passing season without a proposal reduced their appeal in the eyes of the ton. In this elegantly dressed social market, reputation was paramount. Once tarnished, it could never be restored. Despite the romantic escapades depicted in stories like Bridgerton, in reality, the cost of such actions could be devastating. A single stolen kiss could ruin a woman's chances of marriage, leaving her reputation in tatters, while their suitor would continue his life unscathed. Marriage in Regency. Upon marriage, A woman's possessions became her husband's property, except for any spending money specified in the marriage contract. If the marriage faltered, the husband retained all that the woman had brought into it. Divorce was not an option for her, while the husband could divorce his wife with little consequence, secure in the knowledge that only her reputation would be damaged. Even the most esteemed ladies of the time could become social pariahs under these circumstances. Regardless of marital bliss, a woman's primary duty was to manage her household. Each day, she conferred with her housekeeper to oversee household operations and staff, reviewed the accounts, and engaged in social calls and visits to maintain her standing in society. These responsibilities were undoubtedly more manageable with a loving husband with whom she could share daily gossip and companionship. If a woman became a widow, she had to rely on a jointure arranged in the marriage settlement, which provided her with a secured income after her husband's death. However, even these funds were controlled by male relatives, leaving the widow with little autonomy. While she could remarry, doing so meant relinquishing the small measure of independence that widowhood had afforded her. Childbirth and pregnancy. In the Regency era, as in many periods of history, the foremost duty of a wife was to ensure the continuation of the family lineage. Queen Charlotte, for instance, bore an astonishing 15 children. This task was fraught with challenges and dangers, even for the wealthiest women who had access to the best medical care. Pregnancy and childbirth carried significant risks, and maternal and infant mortality rates were alarmingly high. The situation was exacerbated by the harsh and misguided practices imposed on pregnant women. Once pregnancy was confirmed, women entered a lying-in period. During this time, they were confined to bed, with fires lit, windows and doors sealed, and all sources of fresh air blocked to protect them from so-called miasmas, foul air believed to cause disease. As a result, they were forced to breathe stale, sooty air continuously. Forbidden from exercising or engaging in activities that might cause excitement, many women found pregnancy to be a miserable experience. Their suffering was compounded by a bland diet and frequent bloodletting for even minor ailments. While the actual birth was often considered the most perilous moment for women in the Regency era, the journey to labour itself could be an arduous ordeal. How was it to be single? The prospect of an unhappy marriage was unappealing, yet remaining single offered little solace. Spinsterhood was considered an unnatural state, and an upper-class woman faced limited options for self-support. Unless she secured a respectable position as a governess, companion, or possibly gave painting or music lessons, an unmarried woman was dependent on her often reluctant family. It's sobering to realize that most genteel women never lived alone. Families could grow resentful of the burden of an aging relative. Occasionally, an heiress might break the mold, but even she needed a female companion to avoid whispers of impropriety. Far from the romanticized world of pretty dresses and passionate trysts seen in Bridgerton, the reality for women in Regency England was one of crushing pressures and harsh treatment. Their lives were spent under constant scrutiny, whether from family or spouse, and they were bound by rigid social rules and protocols that carried severe consequences if broken. This does not mean that no Regency women found happiness and fulfillment. However, for many, even those with every privilege money could buy, life could be miserable and inescapable. Unlike the fictional Lady Whistledown, there was no one to guide them to a happy ending. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Please do not forget to support my channel by clicking like and subscribe buttons.